And as we said before, so say I now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accursed. Alright, for do I now persuade men or God, or do I seek to please men? For if it yet please men, I should not be the servant of Christ. So first we got to understand what other doctrine has been taught, or what other Christ has been taught to us. Now let's go to Revelations. Let's go to Revelations 1:1. Excuse me, y'all. My Bible is all marked up and raggedy, but it works for me. This is my sword, and I like the old stuff. Revelations 1:1. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servants, John. So John the Revelator, or revelation meaning to reveal or to make known this Christ that the apostles and the disciples taught. Because in Paul's time, it was even another Christ trying to come up and be taught. What would we call the Antichrist, or instead of Christ. So now we're going to go into Revelations 1 and verse 14. And we'll start at 10. We'll start at 10. Let's start at 10. So John the Revelator was in the spirit. Verse 10. I was in the spirit on the Lord's day. That Lord's day is the Sabbath, the true Sabbath, Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, not the new day of worship marked by the Roman Catholic Church. The Sabbath is the seventh day, not the first day of the week, as they say in their study guides. Even in my Bible it have it. The first day of the week, the new day of worship. It is a lie and false doctrine. So he was caught up in the spirit on the Lord's day, the Sabbath day, and heard behind me a great voice as a trumpet, saying, words of Christ, and read, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, and what thou seest, write in the book. So he was told, whatever you see, write it down. Not what you hear or what you think or what you feel. Write what you see. And he was in the spirit. So he seen something in the spirit. And we must continue to read to understand. Write it in a book and send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia, and unto Ephesus, and unto Smyrna, and unto Pergamos, and unto Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, and being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with the garment down to the foot, and girt about with the paps with the golden girdle. So he saw one like unto the Son of Man. He saw Christ. Verse 14. He had a garment with pants. He had breeches, because if you knew the law, it'll let you know that the men was supposed to wear, the priest was supposed to wear breeches, linen breeches. And he had a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with the golden girdle. So he had a big golden belt on. 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool. That's the texture and the color. As white as snow. And there's only one group of people on this face of the earth that has woolly hair that turns white all over when they get old or aged or stressed out a lot. And that's the so-called Negroes or Black Americans or African Americans, or all these bywords, instead of being called the tribe of Judah or the Israelites, Hebrew Israelites. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. So we understand that his eyes would be red. Moses described this man in the law. So let's go to the law. Let's go to Genesis 49. Genesis 49 and 12. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. So now who is he talking about? It's talking about Christ. All roads lead to Christ. All the law and the righteousness leads to Christ. So Christ's eyes was red like fire instead of blue like the Roman Catholic Jesus they brought to us. So his eyes was red with wine. Now let's go back to Revelations. Kind of excuse my Bible. It's ragged and a little something. Alright. His head and his hairs are white like wool and white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. So now we know that he had red eyes because he drunk much wine. Not to be drunken, but because of the feast days and all the Sabbaths they had, he drunk a lot of wine. So his eyes was red or as a flame of fire. Verse 15, and his feet like unto fine brass. Now what color is brass? It's brown, brownish or brown. Different shades of brown, as if they burned in the furnace. Now if you burn anything in the furnace, what color does it come out? It comes out charcoal black, crisp, ash black. So Christ was a black man and not a white man. And his voice as the sound of many waters. So he had a loud, strong voice, not no soft, punkish voice. So now let's get another account. This is John the Revelator. We're going to go to Daniel. Daniel also seen Christ. This is Daniel 10, verse 5. Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. So now we understand that girdle, that golden girdle he had in Revelation, was a belt of fine gold, the best gold you can have on this earth. Verse 6. His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, meaning he was in his glorified state. And his eyes as lamps of fire, and we know that his eyes was red with wine, and his arms and his feet like in color. So he was a colored man to polish brass. And if you learn how to polish brass, you got to put it in the furnace. So he was a dark man. He was a dark man, or dark colored brass man. He was what we would call a so-called Negro or African American or Black American of today. And the voice of his words like the voice of multitude. So he had a strong, deep, baritone voice, loud. So Daniel show that his skin color do matter. So anybody say that it don't matter, it matters because it's written in the scriptures. And God knew this time would come where they would take away the true Christ and put up a false image of the Lord, our Savior, Yeshua Christ. And they inserted his name. They changed his skin color. They changed his people skin color. They stole his land. They killed him, crucified him, and hung him on the Roman cross. So that's how you know who killed them, the Romans. They was a Caucasian race. They was not Jews or so-called black people of today. They are a Caucasian race. So they killed Christ. But our own people of the scribes, Pharisees, and the chief priests, they delivered him up to be killed of our own people. So he was a black man. And let's go to this image. This image is what they gave us. That's Caesar Borgia. He was a European Caucasian. That is not Jesus. This Jesus come with another gospel, another doctrine. Everything opposite of the true Christ. He comes with the opposite. This face, and this is birth date and death date to let you know that it was a man. And that's his picture that they used to build this Christ on. So this is Caesar Borgia or Cesare Borgia, and this is the Antichrist image, the false image that should both speak and walk. He walked the earth, and he was a pedophile, a murderer, as you could read some of the and Leonardo da Vinci did paint him. Michelangelo was in competition to impress the king, painting Caesar Borgia's face as the new image of Christ. This is during the Renaissance period. This is when this picture showed up. But this is an example of the Christ that was described in Revelations and Daniel. So this is an example, not an image to worship. But this man was worshipped and is still being worshipped. So the truth shall prevail. And this is another example of Christ. So he's a lion. He's a meanly man-looking man. Now, he came as a lamb, but now he's coming back as this furious black man, a lion. Shalom.